What's up, everybody? This is Sunny with Infinite Motiv. I'm going to be starting a multi-part YouTube/social media video series breaking down how to cope with cancer. But first, I felt like the only way that I could have any kind of confidence from you guys is if I tell my story and break that down first. I hope that you guys can all find value from my story and how I choose to cope with things and the creation of Infinite Motiv and what that means in terms of building the community out and being able to have more exposure for all the different types of cancers under one roof. So let's get into it. I'm 33 years old now. I was diagnosed in 2019 with an aggressive form of leukemia called acute myeloid leukemia. I had just 20 days before going to the hospital, I had just purchased my first home. I was working with one of the leading fitness companies in the industry as a digital media buyer. Things on the surface looked pretty much the best that they ever had. And of course, that can all be turned on its head. I started experiencing symptoms of typical sinusitis type symptoms, flu symptoms. I ended up getting prescribed antibiotics and nothing was working. And I would say that this was taking place throughout the month of February in 2019. My birthday was on the 7th. This happens to be the same day I bought my place. By the, I want to say 27th, I was already at the hospital, getting blood work done, trying to figure out what was going on. I experienced a symptom in my spinal cord from, I believe, pulling my back from moving office chairs when we had office chairs delivered at my place of work. I think that this helped push me to go to the hospital. I spoke to my parents and my sibling, who happens to be a doctor, and they said it's better to be safe than sorry. I told them about the spine pain. My concern was that this could be spinal meningitis, as my dad had gone through that at a young age, and the consensus was it's better to be safe than sorry. Might as well go get it checked out. I end up going into the hospital for what I didn't know would be my stay for the next 33 days. And this all came together so quickly, but initially it started with blood tests that looked abnormal, had an abnormally high count of white blood cells, and this led to them not wanting to immediately come out and say it, but they wanted to run more tests, ultimately do a bone marrow biopsy, and what was told to us was this was to rule out cancer. And unfortunately, this would end up being how we found out that I did indeed have acute myeloid leukemia. By the time they discovered it, there was already 80% of my blood was cancerous, and there was no time to get any second opinions. My mom asked about that, and they said that no, with how aggressive this is and where we're at right now, there's no time. We need to go send him to get his chest port put in and then start chemotherapy immediately following that. And of course, I think that for anybody to go through that kind of situation, it's daunting, it's surreal, it's upsetting and angering, and I think in some sense it was beneficial for it to have moved as fast as it did, because the less time you have to ruminate on it and think about or give any thought to it, really, you're already in it, and it's already, you know, there's a day-to-day schedule of what you need to be doing, and it allows you to just jump into a survival mode. I don't think that there's any way to say, oh, this is the best way of being diagnosed. This is, you know, it's obviously a terrible situation, but given the situation for me and how sudden it was, not being given a whole lot of time to think about it before starting everything probably in hindsight made it easier. Not so much on extended family and all of that, that I'm sure will take the same toll, regardless. So I would say that, but leading up to it, I was at the healthiest point in my life. I had been pretty focused on fitness and health and getting my body in shape. And at the time, of course, you would never even imagine that cancer could be a possibility. And next thing you know, you are starting not only a regular dose of chemotherapy, but pretty much the highest doses that they can give the human body in order to try to knock it out. And being fairly young and in fairly decent shape allowed them to hit me with the hardest chemos available because my body was physically able to take it. And so that's part one of this kind of journey that we're on, and ultimately what will lead to the creation of Infinite Motiv. I hope you guys follow along. I hope it's interesting. If you could like, share, and follow this video, this message that ultimately I plan on putting together for everyone will hopefully change the lives of many. If nothing else, it'll give them solace in the fact that somebody that's gone through it has taken the time to explain the journey and hopefully give them a feeling of not being so alone in such a terrible situation. And anyway, so we'll be following up with future parts as soon as possible. Hopefully have 3 or 4 parts a week before we get into what will ultimately be our How to Cope with Cancer series. Go ahead and like, share, and follow. InfiniteMotiv.com is the website. Infinite.motiv is our Instagram handle. And thanks for following along, guys. Look forward to telling the rest of the story. Have a good one.